privacy, confidentiality, and cloud computing. Gee, that's a mouthful, isn't it? I recently read an article in Newsweek from February, and it's actually very interesting. It's talking about the advent of cloud computing, essentially where systems such as Microsoft or Google are creating these huge computers on which all information can be stored. You know, you don't need to have your own server. Now, how does this relate to healthcare? Well, it relates to it in this way, that Google and Microsoft are actually very interested in having these health data banks. Actually, so is the government. You know, the government in Australia and the UK are creating these health data banks where they're going to store all your information. We're talking about e-health card in Australia. Now, is this a good thing? Well, before I go on any further, the answer is no. But anyway, let me explain why. You know, doctors understand about patients' confidentiality. You know, your own health information, it's a very private matter. Doctors have always been taught, medical students, young doctors have been taught how important confidentiality is and not to divulge it. We respect this. Health information is the patient's business. It's up to them who they're going to divulge it to. You know, to you as a doctor, who you're allowed to further divulge it onto. So it's a very important thing. Now, having these big data banks of health information, please take a great caution. You know, there's been numerous examples in the UK where it's been breached. Yeah, these big data banks, Google, Microsoft, are always giving these reassurances that, privacy will be protected. Oh yeah, sure. There's numerous breaches in the UK, you know, where CDs with all the health information has just been lost on a train, on the subway. You know, some public servant just left it behind. Now, I think it's a very bad idea to give out your private information to any big organisation. First of all, the government. You really think they're going to use it to your benefit? No, of course they're not. One way or another will be used against you. To these private entities, why do you think they're so desperate? Because health information is so valuable. It's huge implications, hasn't it? You know, they can on-sale list all sorts of companies, getting all this data mining and everything. It's not in your interest to give it to them whatsoever. They're just looking for a quick buck, and you really think these big companies are going to protect it? Forget about it. You know, I've spoken to a lot of patients. These things that happen to you in your past medical history, you don't want to diverge it to everybody. You may not even diverge it to another doctor. You can choose. You should be able to choose. For example, if a patient comes along and sees me with a fracture, do I really have a right to find out about their chlamydial infections that they may have had many years ago? Of course I don't. It's up to the patient whether they reveal that information. It's up to me whether I even ask it. You know, so let's have health information owned by the patient. You know, patient perhaps carried on a simple little like a flash disk, perhaps, and they can reveal what they want to reveal. But for God's sake, don't be giving this to government. Don't be given to these great big organisations. No, it's said, or one fellow, Microsystems, I quote from Nature, a fellow by Scott McNally, Chief Executive of Sun Microsystems, said, "Privacy is dead. Get over it." Forget about it. We're not going to be dictated to by someone desperate to get our private information as to privacy is dead. No, it's an essential part of good healthcare. Privacy is not dead. It's alive and well. It's up to us to guard our patients' privacy and confidentiality. Thanks for listening.